Well, Mr. Norton, good to see you again,
Great
sir.
to see you
I
too.
see you got the memo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look at that. I
look
like
at
that.
us.
The
We're
Ed
like
Norton special.
Yeah, we're like modern Miami Vice.
That's exactly
Crockett
right.
and Tubbs.
Exactly right. I obviously now that you have the experience of having directed 2 films under your belt, I have sort of a fun hypothetical. You've been in some of the greatest films of all time that other people have directed. Just for fun, if you could have directed any other movie in your career, just to see what the experience would be like, and maybe even a particular scene out of a particular movie, which one would you like to just take a crack at and just see if it would be fun?
Wow. That's a very interesting question. In a weird way, watching Fincher direct Fight Club was like watching Bjorn Borg in the late 70s. It was like how does the level of game, his ability to do every kind, humor and violence and tricky surrealism, and it's just like he was on fire. And whether I could do it or not, it'd be fun to literally try to recompose some of those shots because they were so clever.
Yeah.
But I feel the same in a totally different way. I feel the same about Alejandro Iñárritu and Birdman. Like, I think the experiment of these hyper long shots is something I still almost have in dreams. It's like, it's amazing. It'd be really fun.
I had
to try
so much
something.
anxiety for you guys watching that movie because just thinking like, you obviously never want to be the guy that screws up
Yeah.
the 18-minute long
Yes.
shot. Obviously, this movie, just to get it on the screen and to perfect it and get everything going, took you 20 years. Over the course of 20 years, a person can change a lot. In what way did this movie change as a result of you changing as a person?
It's a good question. I definitely don't. There's no question I wouldn't. When I first read this book, to be clear, I read it and then I didn't really work on it for a while. But where I was when I read the book, I hadn't even directed one film. I could have never made this film on the schedule that we did. In the intervening years, I learned a lot from all the directors we're talking about, for one thing. For another thing, I think I was too young. I couldn't have... The part... This character, he's an underdog, but you also feel he's kind of been isolated for a long time. He's not a kid. And in some ways the connection that he finds with Gugu and Raw's character is more tender because you sense like he's been alone a while, and that loneliness I think is more pointed than it would be if you were sort of a baby-faced kid in your late 20s.
Yeah.
And I probably looked like I was 19 in my late 20s. So, there's that. I also, honestly, the world has changed too. I think things that we ended up underlining in this, that this film weirdly was not as resonant a few years ago. I think what we're going through as a country right now, some of the things that people are starting to feel like, wait, how much of this are we going to tolerate? That's very much what the film, in its backstory, asks those kinds of questions, and I think that's why I think it's more resonant.
And really quick as we wrap up,
Yes.
This Tuesday, the 20th anniversary of Fight Club, one of the all-time great films. From what I remember when that movie came out, I feel like people, I don't want to say didn't get it, but it didn't connect the way it connects today.
For sure. It was well, it wasn't. It's not just today. It took a minute. It really destabilized a lot of people, and I think it wasn't a huge success at the box office, which people don't remember. But it was to me, it was a great experience, just that process, because what you realized is if you look back on it, you could never hope to make a film that has a deeper relationship with the people of your own generation. That's who we made it for our friends and people whose experience it discusses. And it was never up for awards. It wasn't a big hit. But what more could you aspire to? And it ended up forming that relationship directly, and I love that. I think that it boosted my confidence that sometimes you have to just do things and put them out there, and that they will find their own conversation with an audience no matter what goes on opening weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. Mr. Norton, an honor, sir.
Pleasure.